the lonely path of the chosen, embracing strength through trials, mindset and motivation for success channel. There's a certain mystique, a profound weight to the idea of being called or chosen. Many imagine it as a path lictored with divine favor, but often the reality is starkly different. When you're set apart for a purpose far greater than yourself, it comes with burdens most will never comprehend. The chosen often walk a path less traveled, a path that can feel intensely solitary, marked by misunderstanding and rejection. If you've ever felt like an outsider, uniquely different, or inexplicably alone, even in a crowd, this message is for you. We're about to explore why these very feelings might be the undeniable signs of your divine selection. There's something truly profound about being called, something about being chosen that people don't always fully understand. When you are genuinely set apart for a purpose far greater than yourself, it inevitably comes with a weight, a responsibility that most people will never have to carry. The chosen ones, those destined for something higher, inherently walk a different path. And because of that fundamental difference, they often find themselves walking it utterly alone. When God calls you, He doesn't typically send you down an easy, well-paved road. He doesn't place you comfortably in the middle of the crowd where you can effortlessly blend in and feel at ease. No, quite often He pulls you out. He deliberately sets you apart. And that very separation can feel like profound isolation. It can feel like deep loneliness, like painful rejection, like you simply don't belong anywhere. But let me tell you something incredibly important. You were never meant to truly belong where you were actually called to lead. The burden of being chosen is undeniably heavy. It means you see things differently than most. It means you hear things, spiritual whispers and divine nudges that others don't perceive. It means that the vision burning inside you, the sacred fire that ignites your spirit, will inevitably set you on a course that others simply cannot comprehend. You will try to explain it to them, to share the depth of what you feel and see, and they will often look at you as if you're speaking another language entirely. You will attempt to bring them along with you on this journey, but they often won't want to go. And that's precisely where the pain often comes in. Because being chosen doesn't just separate you from the world at large. It frequently separates you from the very people you love, the ones you hold dear. Some of you listening right now know exactly what I'm talking about. You've had those poignant moments where you felt completely, utterly alone, wondering why no one around you seems to understand the real you. You've sat in rooms full of people and still felt like an absolute outsider. You've been surrounded by friends and family and yet still felt a gnawing emptiness deep inside. Because deep down in the core of your being, you know you were meant for something more, something different. But here's what I urgently need you to understand. That feeling of otherness isn't a mistake. That profound loneliness isn't an unfortunate accident. It is, in fact, a powerful sign that God is doing something significant in you that He is not necessarily doing in everyone else. When you are chosen, you simply cannot live like everybody else. You cannot think like everybody else, and you certainly cannot move through life like everybody else. That's precisely why you often don't fit in. That's why you struggle to relate to an ordinary existence. It's not that there's something inherently wrong with you. It's that there's something beautifully, powerfully different about you. God has placed something unique, something precious inside of you that inherently requires separation. Because what He is meticulously building in you requires intense focus. It demands unwavering discipline. It calls for radical obedience. And crucially, it requires you to let go of the deep-seated human need to be constantly understood by others. Some of the greatest men and women of God throughout history were profoundly isolated before they were publicly elevated. Look at Moses, raised in the opulence of Pharaoh's house, yet never truly one of them. Called to lead his people, but initially rejected by them. Look at Joseph, given a divine dream, a glimpse of his destiny, but then callously sold into slavery by his own jealous brothers. Look at David, anointed as king while still a youth, yet sent back to the mundane life of tending sheep in the field. His calling hidden for years over and over again. The pattern is strikingly the same. Before the chosen ones can fully step into their God-ordained destiny, they must first endure the often excruciating loneliness that inevitably comes with being uniquely set apart. And that loneliness, that separation, it often breaks you. It humbles you. It brings you to your knees in desperation. But that breaking is absolutely necessary. Because when God is preparing you for a significant purpose, He has to meticulously strip away everything that is not meant to go with you into your future. The relationships that were only meant for a particular season. The habits that no longer serve your higher purpose. The countless distractions that keep you from clearly hearing His divine voice. Sometimes the only way He can effectively remove these hindrances is to pull you away from everything and everyone you mistakenly thought you needed. I know it's incredibly hard. I know there are long nights when you lie awake, wondering why God would place such a heavy, seemingly unbearable burden on your shoulders. I know there are moments when you desperately want to give up, when you think, maybe I'm not strong enough for this. Maybe I misunderstood the call. But I came to tell you today with all conviction that you are strong enough. You were specifically built for this. You were chosen for this very path. And if God called you to it, He will absolutely give you the supernatural strength to carry it. Loneliness is not the end of your story. It is merely the beginning of a deeper chapter. It is the refining fire that purifies your purpose. It is the sacred space where God often speaks the clearest. It is the essential preparation ground for something far greater than you can currently imagine. So don't fight it. Don't resist it. Instead, try to embrace it. Because when the time finally comes, when God unequivocally says it's time to step into the fullness of your calling, you will look back and realize that the loneliness wasn't truly loneliness at all. It was God intimately walking with you, meticulously shaping you, divinely preparing you, so that when He finally sends you out, you will be thoroughly and completely ready. Rejection has a way of cutting incredibly deep. It makes you question yourself, your worth, your very identity. It makes you wonder if you're good enough, if you're truly worthy, if you're genuinely meant for the calling you feel burning so intensely inside you. You step out in faith, courageously believing that people will see the unique gift God has placed in you, believing they will support you, believing they will faithfully stand by your side. But instead, they often walk away. They turn their backs. They dismiss you, your vision, your passion. And that pain, it doesn't just touch your heart, it often shakes your very soul to its core. But let me tell you something profound. Rejection in the economy of God is not a punishment. It is often preparation. It is not God saying you're not good enough. It is God clearly saying you're being uniquely set apart. Too often we take rejection far too personally. We see it as a definitive sign that we have failed, that we are not wanted, that we are somehow unworthy of love or acceptance. But when God allows rejection in your life, it is frequently because He is skillfully redirecting you. He is divinely protecting you. He is meticulously making sure that you do not prematurely settle for something that is far beneath the magnificent purpose He has uniquely placed upon your life. Look at Joseph. His own brothers viciously rejected him, threw him into a desolate pit, and then callously sold him into slavery. He had dreams, divine visions of what God was going to do through him. But before he could ever step into that glorious destiny, he had to first walk through the searing fire of rejection. If his brothers had readily accepted him, he likely would have stayed comfortably where he was. If they had embraced him in his dreams, he would have never been forcibly pushed onto the arduous path that ultimately led him to Egypt, to the palace, and to the very position of influence God had already prepared for him. Sometimes the very people you think should support you the most will be the very ones who push you away. They won't understand your vision. They won't see what you see. And you will be sorely tempted to shrink yourself down, to lower your calling just to be accepted by them. But God didn't call you to be merely accepted. He called you to be uniquely set apart. He called you to rise above, to lead, to stand boldly where others often refuse to stand. And that means rejection isn't something to be feared. It is often something to be embraced as part of the journey. When you are rejected, don't waste precious time and energy chasing after people who clearly don't see your true value. Don't sit around crying over doors that have firmly closed. Because if God allowed that door to shut, it unequivocally means He has something far greater in store for you. You might not see it clearly now. You might not understand it in the heat of the moment. But if you steadfastly trust Him, if you keep walking in faith, if you keep believing in His promises, you will eventually come to realize that every single rejection was actually a disguised blessing. Every no was a necessary step toward a much greater yes. Some of you are still holding on tightly to the deep pain of past rejections, and it's crippling you, keeping you from boldly stepping into what God has for you now. You're still constantly thinking about the people who left. You're still replaying the hurtful words they said. You're still allowing their uninformed opinions to define your precious worth. But listen to me very carefully. Your value is not determined by the people who reject you. Your divine calling is not canceled just because someone didn't believe in you. If God called you, that is all the confirmation you will ever need. If God chose you, then no amount of human rejection can ever stop what He has ultimately planned for your life. You have to consciously shift your perspective. Instead of seeing rejection merely as a painful loss, start seeing it as a definitive sign that God is actively moving in your life. He is sovereignly closing doors that need to be closed. He is lovingly removing people who simply cannot go where you are ultimately going. He is meticulously making sure that when you finally step into your God-ordained destiny, you're surrounded by the right people in the right place at precisely the right time. Jesus Himself faced constant, brutal rejection. He was despised, ridiculed, and cruelly mocked by the very ones He came to save. He was painfully betrayed by those closest to Him. And yet He never once let their rejection stop Him from fulfilling His divine purpose. If even Jesus, the Son of God, had to endure such profound rejection, why do we sometimes think that being chosen means we will always be embraced by everyone? The truth is, often, the greater the calling, the more intense the rejection. The higher the purpose, the lonelier the road can seem. But here's what I urgently need you to grasp. Rejection is not the end of your story. It is a necessary, albeit painful, part of your divine preparation. It is shaping you, refining you, making you stronger. Because when you finally step into the place God has been leading you towards, you will look back and realize with gratitude that every rejection was actually God's way of saying, I have something far better for you. You will see that He was always in control, always lovingly guiding your steps, always meticulously preparing you for something far greater than you could have ever imagined. So the next time you face rejection, don't crumble over it. Don't beg for acceptance. Stand tall, hold your head high, and remember, you were never meant to simply fit in. You were meant to courageously stand out. And God is masterfully using every rejection to push you ever closer to your divine purpose. There comes a pivotal point in life when you realize that before God truly elevates you, He first often allows you to be broken. Now, it's not the kind of breaking that utterly destroys you. Rather, it's the kind that meticulously strips away everything that is not meant to go with you into your next season. It's the kind of breaking that refines, that humbles, that thoroughly prepares. Because God never promotes without adequate preparation. And that preparation almost always involves some measure of pain. Some people mistakenly think that being chosen means an easy road, a life completely free from struggle. But if you look closely at the life of anyone God has ever significantly used, you will consistently see a distinct pattern. Before the elevation, there is often isolation. Before the breakthrough, there is frequently heartbreak. Before the crown, there is invariably a crushing. And in that crushing, you will feel like everything is falling apart. You will feel like the very things you once thought were secure and stable are being ruthlessly taken from you. You will wonder why God is allowing you to go through so much intense pain when all you've ever tried to do is faithfully follow Him. But that's the very essence of being chosen. It means you often have to go through what others won't, because you are being uniquely prepared for something that others simply can't handle. When God has a high and holy calling on your life, He cannot afford to let you walk into it unprepared. He cannot afford to let you carry pride, bitterness, unforgiveness, or an unhealthy dependency on people into that sacred space. So, He allows the breaking, not because He is cruel, but because He intimately knows that what He has in store for you is too great, too significant to be carried by who you are right now. Look at David. He was anointed as a young man, clearly called to be king. But before he ever sat on a throne, he had to run for his very life. He had to hide in desolate caves. He had to endure betrayal by the very people he once fought for. God had already chosen him, but he wasn't ready yet. He had the divine anointing, but he still desperately needed the refining process. And that process was undeniably painful. Some of you are in that very process right now. You are in the midst of the breaking, and you don't understand why. You are looking at your life, wondering why doors keep closing, why relationships keep falling apart, why the very things you earnestly prayed for seem to be cruelly slipping through your fingers. You're asking God, why me? Why this? Why now? And the answer, though perhaps hard to accept, is simple, because He is lovingly, painstakingly making you into who you were always meant to be. Gold is refined in fire. Diamonds are formed under immense pressure. Olive oil only flows abundantly when the olive is thoroughly crushed. And you, what God has uniquely placed inside of you, can often only be fully revealed through the crucible of breaking. The divine dreams He has given you, the unique purpose He has instilled within you, the incredible strength He knows resides in you, all of it often has to be painfully drawn out. And it usually cannot happen when you're comfortable. It cannot happen when everything is easy. It happens when you are on your knees, when you feel like you have nothing left but God, when every earthly support system has failed you, and the only thing you have to hold on to is His unwavering word. You might not see it clearly now, but one day you will look back and genuinely thank Him for the breaking. One day you will realize that every tear, every heartbreak, every painful loss was not working against you, but ultimately for you. You will see that what you initially thought was devastating rejection was actually divine protection. What you perceived as unbearable suffering was, in fact, meticulous preparation. What you believed was the bitter end was actually the very beginning of the person God was lovingly molding you into. So don't resist the process. Don't try to rush the healing. Patiently let God do what He needs to do. Allow Him to strip away what no longer serves your divine purpose. Let Him remove the distractions, the unhealthy attachments, the things that are keeping you from stepping fully into your sacred calling. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, it will often feel profoundly unfair. But when He is finished with this refining work, you will be stronger. You will be wiser. You will be truly unshakable. And when the time finally comes for Him to elevate you, you will be completely and utterly ready. When God sets you apart, He doesn't always make it glaringly obvious to everyone around you. He doesn't always announce it with dramatic signs and wonders that make others stand in immediate awe. Instead, He often does something far more subtle, yet infinitely more powerful. He simply makes you different. And for a long time, you might not even fully understand it yourself. You just intrinsically know that you don't quite fit in with the crowd. You can be surrounded by people, yet still feel like you are walking a distinctly different path. You can have various opportunities presented to you, but something deep inside you, a quiet knowing, tells you they are not truly for you. You can form relationships, but they often don't seem to last or satisfy the deepest longing of your soul. And at some point, you inevitably start asking yourself, why? Why does it feel like I don't truly belong anywhere? Why does it seem like my journey is so markedly different from everyone else's? The answer, my friend, is profoundly simple, because you were never meant to merely blend in. You were never meant to comfortably fit where you don't truly belong. You were not created to be just like everyone else, because the unique calling on your life is not like everyone else's. There is something extraordinary about you that God has specifically set apart for a purpose far greater than you can currently perceive. And that kind of extraordinary purpose inherently requires a different path. It necessitates a transformative process that many people will simply never understand. There is an undeniable weight that comes with being chosen, a distinct loneliness that often accompanies a significant purpose. And if you are not careful, you will start to resent the very thing that makes you so wonderfully special. You will begin to see your uniqueness as a burdensome curse instead of a divine blessing. You will start to think that something is fundamentally wrong with you because you don't think like others, you don't move like others, you don't settle for the same things as others. But let me tell you something with all sincerity. Being different is not a curse. It is powerful proof that God's hand is uniquely upon your life. It is compelling evidence that He is calling you higher, meticulously preparing you for something far greater, something that inherently requires you to be set apart. And that setting apart process, it's not always easy. It means you will inevitably lose some people along the way. It means you will have distinct seasons of isolation where it feels like absolutely no one understands you. It means you will often have to walk through daunting doors alone, trusting implicitly that if God led you there, He will most certainly sustain you. It means you will have to make courageous choices that don't make logical sense to others. Choices that demand unwavering faith. Choices that require profound sacrifice. Look at Moses. He grew up in the splendor of Pharaoh's palace, surrounded by immense wealth, power, and privilege. But deep inside, he knew he didn't truly belong there. He could have stayed. He could have lived a comfortable, predictable life. But he was called to something infinitely greater. And that powerful calling, it led him into the desolate wilderness. It led him into a place of profound isolation. It led him into a lengthy season where he had nothing and no one but God. Some of you are in that very wilderness right now. Some of you feel like you are walking entirely alone, like you have been completely separated from everything familiar and comforting. And it's incredibly tempting in those moments to think that maybe you've missed God's will. Maybe you've done something terribly wrong. But I want you to hear me clearly. This is not punishment. This is meticulous preparation. God is not keeping you apart to harm you. He is lovingly setting you apart to prepare you. He's teaching you to depend solely on Him, to trust Him implicitly when the path isn't clear, to walk by steadfast faith even when you cannot physically see what's ahead. And when the divinely appointed time comes, when He finally reveals what He has been so carefully preparing you for, you will look back and realize with profound gratitude that every lonely season, every difficult choice, every single moment you felt utterly out of place, it was all absolutely necessary. You will see that He was never ignoring you, never forgetting you. He was purposefully setting you apart, painstakingly shaping you, meticulously making sure that when the time came for you to boldly step into your God-given purpose, you would be completely and thoroughly ready. There is something about being chosen that inherently makes you a target. The very moment God sets you apart, the moment He places a divine calling on your life, the spiritual battle often begins in earnest. And for some, that battle starts incredibly early in life. Some of you have faced relentless opposition for as long as you can possibly remember. It consistently feels like you've had to fight for absolutely everything. Your peace, your purpose, your very existence. It's not that you went looking for the fight. The fight came looking for you, and you often wonder why. You wonder why your life has been such a constant battlefield, while others around you seem to walk a much easier road. You wonder why you've had to endure so much loss, rejection, betrayal, and hardship. And sometimes, if you're truly honest with yourself, you might even question God. But hear me clearly when I say this. The intense attack on your life is often powerful proof of the significant anointing on your life. The enemy does not waste his precious time or resources on people who are not a genuine threat to his kingdom. He does not come after those who have no real purpose, no divine calling, no significant destiny. He specifically comes after the ones who are dangerous to his dark plans. He comes after the ones who have been uniquely marked by God for something far greater. And that is precisely why the fight in your life has been so incredibly intense. That is why you have faced things that logically should have utterly destroyed you. That is why the enemy has tried to take you out time and time again, because he sees what's truly inside of you, even when you often don't see it yourself. He sees the potential, the power, the purpose. Look at Joseph. God gave him a dream, a divine vision of who he was destined to become. But before he ever reached that place of prominence, he had to go through the pit. He had to be betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and unjustly thrown into prison. Everything in his life seemed to be falling apart. But in reality, everything was meticulously falling into place. Every trial, every setback, every painful moment was perfectly positioning him for the specific purpose God had already sovereignly planned for him. Some of you are in that very place right now. You are in the pit, and you don't understand why. You are looking at your life, at all the struggles, all the relentless attacks, and you're wondering how any of it makes any logical sense. But what you don't currently see is what's truly happening behind the scenes. What you don't yet realize is that every single battle you have fought has been strategically training you for where God is ultimately taking you. The very things that were meant to break you have actually been building you. The struggles that were supposed to destroy you have in fact been strengthening you. Because here's a profound truth. God does not call the untested. He does not place great responsibility into the hands of the unprepared. And so he allows the struggle not to weaken you, but to equip you. He permits the battle not to defeat you, but to develop you. Because if you are going to carry the immense weight of the calling he has uniquely placed on your life, you absolutely need to be strong enough to stand firm. You need to be wise enough to discern truth from error. You need to be resilient enough to keep going when everything within you wants to quit. And that is why the enemy has fought you so incredibly hard. That is why the pressure has been so immense. Because he knows that once you fully step into who God has called you to be, once you truly realize the incredible power and divine authority that has been placed inside of you, there is absolutely nothing he can do to stop you. He can attack, but he ultimately cannot win. He can throw countless obstacles in your way, but he absolutely cannot take away what God has divinely ordained for your life. So don't let the battle make you bitter. Don't let the constant attacks make you doubt who you truly are in Christ. Understand with deep conviction that every fight, every challenge, every single hardship is powerful confirmation that you are indeed walking in your God-given purpose. It is compelling proof that you are not ordinary, that you have been uniquely set apart, that heaven's mighty hand is undeniably upon your life. And when you finally come out on the other side of this, because you will come out, you will be stronger, you will be wiser, and you will be thoroughly ready for everything God has promised you. Keep fighting, keep standing, because your victory is already assured. When God places a unique calling on your life, he doesn't just prepare a path for you, He meticulously prepares you for the path. And that divine preparation is rarely easy. It's rarely what you expect. And it's almost never what you would have personally chosen for yourself. Because being chosen doesn't mean things will always come easily. It doesn't mean doors will always open without any resistance. It doesn't mean you'll always be understood, accepted, or celebrated by those around you. Sometimes being chosen means walking a solitary path. Sometimes it means being rejected by the very people you thought would steadfastly support you. Sometimes it means enduring fierce storms you never saw coming and fighting grueling battles you never imagined you'd have to face. It's precisely in those incredibly challenging moments that you might start to wonder if you're really called at all, because in your human mind, you reason, if God had truly chosen me, wouldn't the road be smoother? Wouldn't the people around me see my heart and stand faithfully with me? Wouldn't the opportunities naturally align, the struggles miraculously ease, the heavy weight instantly lift? But what if I told you that the very struggle is the evidence? That the loneliness is an integral part of the process? That the breaking is the very making of you? Think about David. When the prophet Samuel anointed him as king, he was just a young shepherd boy. He wasn't sitting on a throne. He wasn't living in a palace. He wasn't even initially considered by his own family for such a high calling. He was out in the field largely forgotten. And after he was anointed, after he received the divine confirmation that he was indeed chosen, his life didn't magically get easier. It actually got significantly harder. He soon found himself running for his life, hiding in desolate caves, being betrayed, misunderstood, facing literal giants, and fighting battles he never asked for. But all of it, every lonely night, every painful moment, every perplexing season of uncertainty was strategically shaping him into the great king he was ultimately meant to be. Some of you are in that very season right now. You feel like you've been cast aside, like you've been completely overlooked, like the overwhelming weight of life is relentlessly pressing down on you. You've been faithful, but doors haven't miraculously opened. You've been obedient, but the road has been incredibly rough. And you're starting to wonder if you even have the strength left to keep going. But let me gently remind you, just because you don't physically see the promise materializing yet, doesn't mean it's not surely coming. Just because you're currently in a wilderness season doesn't mean you're not on the absolute right path. God is not punishing you. He is painstakingly preparing you. He is profoundly strengthening you in the silence. He is meticulously developing your character in the hidden place. He is teaching you to trust Him implicitly when there's absolutely nothing else to hold on to. Because when the divinely appointed time finally comes for you to step into what He has specifically called you to do, you won't just be ready. You'll be truly unshakable. And the truth is, not everyone will understand that intricate process. Not everyone will clearly see what God is so powerfully doing in you. Some will undoubtedly question it. Some will certainly doubt it. Some will even walk away from you because they simply don't recognize the extraordinary treasure that's inside of you. But please don't let their misunderstanding make you doubt what God has already clearly confirmed in your spirit. Don't let their rejection make you question your God-given identity. If people choose to leave, graciously let them go. If doors firmly close, trust that they weren't meant for you. If the journey is significantly harder than you ever expected, know with deep assurance That it's because what God is meticulously building in you is far bigger, far more glorious than you ever could have imagined. The chosen ones will always face the greatest battles. They will always carry the heaviest burdens. But they will also inevitably walk in the greatest power. Because when you have been thoroughly tested, when you have been genuinely refined by fire, when you have courageously walked through the deepest valley and still steadfastly kept your faith, absolutely nothing can ever shake you. Nothing can ever truly break you. So don't be discouraged by the arduous process. Don't let the persistent struggle make you lose sight of the precious promise. Keep walking. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Because what God has sovereignly spoken over your life will not return to Him void. And when the time comes, when the preparation is finally complete, when everything He has been painstakingly shaping within you is perfectly ready, absolutely nothing in this world will be able to stop what He has divinely ordained for you. Stay faithful, stay strong, because your time is most definitely coming. Conclusion. The path of the chosen is rarely one of ease. It's often marked by profound loneliness, painful rejection, and a necessary breaking process. Yet these very experiences are not signs of God's disapproval, but rather evidence of His meticulous preparation. Moses, Joseph, David, they all walked this solitary road before stepping into their destinies. If you feel misunderstood, isolated, or tested to your limits, understand that God is shaping you, refining your purpose, and building an unshakable strength within you. The opposition you face is often a testament to the significance of your calling. Don't mistake this divine preparation for abandonment. Embrace the journey, for it is forging you into the leader, the warrior, the vessel He created you to be. What part of this chosen path resonates most deeply with your current season? Is it the loneliness, the rejection, or the feeling of being broken for purpose? Take a moment to acknowledge that God is with you, even in the fire, preparing you for something greater. Your unique journey, with all its trials, is a testament to the greater purpose ahead. Trust the process. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to watch our next videos.